Hush.
I
hate you.
All right.
Walkie slush. And Pops is just sitting there. Pops, you know what walkie slush is?
No.
Let's keep it that way, baby. Let's keep it that way. But hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Buckle Bomb. It is I, Danny O'Ryan, Primo, Campos. Yeah, welcome back. It's good to be back. All the cheerleaders here. But yeah, the Buckle Bomb. Got someone important here, but first, let's introduce the boys.
Of course, lovely co-hosts, you and I together. Felix.
Equal level.
Equal level.
We're all equal level.
Felix Mass Equality Rogers here. Absolutely. And of course, as always,
Jay Mazing in the building.
In the building.
Because
we're
no
serious.
one will let me leave.
We ain't letting him leave, but he's still outside of the house.
Locked him in last time.
Yep.
Actually,
Inside, outside. He's like in the airlock. So
Nobody
he's not
could
really
see
inside.
it, but like my ankle was chained up to the table. Like I was here.
That's how we do it at the Buckle Bomb. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, ow. Papa Don. How you doing? We have been trying to get this man to get on the podcast for so long. And he guilt trips me every time I tell him about it.
Because I don't know when you're serious and when you're not.
Pops, I'm always serious. I'm deadly serious. Always serious, always not.
No,
not
you're
serious.
not, but okay. I'm here.
We have it on record on the second Prince Adam episode that we did, or I guess technically third. Well, it was the second Christmas episode or something like that, right? Like our own season out here.
I don't know.
We were like,
I keep track.
Because he was like, who are you going to get next? He was like, you should get Papa Don on. And we were like, oh, we got a surprise for you. We were like, Papa Don, next episode, next season, Buckle Bomb. And then it's May.
Now it's me. That's okay.
But Kudo, I'll
See,
give
I
it.
came through.
Oh, yeah, I guess. I'll give you props, though, because you did remind me all the time, but I could never tell if you were being serious. So I'd be like, yeah, come on, Pops, we'll have a chat. And then you would laugh at me, and I'd be like, uh-oh. And then I would laugh, and I think that made you go like, hey, he's not being serious. So it was like this weird, just like vicious cycle where we didn't know what was going on. But you're here now, Pops, and that's what matters.
I'm
We are
here right
here
now.
now.
So
Man, the myth, the legend.
let me know what's going on. Tell me all about this. What do you want to know? Here, let's talk.
Pop it on.
What do you want to know?
You know what I want to know? What the people want to know? Why am I your favorite superstar, Dave?
Oh my god.
Because I haven't started yet.
I'm putting that.
Bam.
Jesus. Wow. It's
Because
like
I
that.
haven't found anyone better to replace you.
Hey, we take those, baby.
Okay.
We take those.
We don't all
Probably
take those.
We'll take that one.
No, but Pops, I want to get to know first, what is it like being on the scene, the Texas scene, for so long? Like, how has it changed? How much has it changed?
Oh my God.
I just want to hear your stories. Everyone wants to hear your stories.
You want to know how it's changed compared to when I was coming up and what I was doing compared to you guys? First of all, there was no thigh slapping in my time.
He's looking at me in my eyes.
And when I look at you directly when I say that, I don't mean to offend people, but there was no thigh slapping in my time.
Jesus Christ.
I see the lack of characters,
Yeah.
the lack of work ethic in the ring.
Ooh.
And I say that because a lot of people have told me, and I've always said this myself, but I kind of reinsure it when I hear it, is that crappy wrestling has become good wrestling.
Me being green in the business, I can agree because I have started watching a bunch of a lot more indie wrestling than what I was doing before I joined the school. And I can say there's not a lot of good wrestling out there.
No, there's not.
Yeah. It almost feels like it's I want to say a rare thing, but it's like, it's harder to come by good wrestling. Like the ratio of good wrestling to bad wrestling is not good.
Yeah, not what it should be.
Yeah.
Not what you'd hope it'd be.
No, unfortunately, it's gone down, and it hurts me to see it because there's guys out there who honestly believe in their mind, in their own little world, that they're on top of the chain of command or on top of the world, and they think they are the when really they're not.
Yeah. When do you feel like that change happened? If you can put a time on it, or has it been like a real gradual, like you just saw it more and more and more as time went on?
I want to say probably from the 10s.
Really? 2010s?
Yes.
That's considered like the dark age of wrestling too, isn't it? Like the dark period for like really just, just wrestling.
I know that was when I'm sure that's when like a lot of I think a lot of more indies like started showing up around that time too. So you started getting like a quality versus quantity kind of thing, where just like
Yeah.
everyone and their mother had an indie promotion.
Yeah.
It felt like. So then it was like you had to fill the card somehow, and you just pulled who you could, I guess.
Take who works. Yeah.
Did Texas promotions kind of boom during that period? Like you saw more Texas promotions sprout up during that time?
It
Or-
sprouted up when the Texas Secretary of State took the regulations off professional wrestling in Texas.
There's regulations on it?
There was.
Oh,
I
shoot.
had to wrestle with a surety bond. I had to do stuff with the wrestling and get my license and do all that stuff back in the 90s and early 2000s. So when that was lifted, everyone and their mother could open a wrestling promotion now. And anybody who went to a wrestling school who couldn't cut it, I always joke and say, what's the next best thing? If you can't cut it in a wrestling school, what's the next best thing? Is go open your own business. And that's what you saw.
Wow. Dang. Do you feel like the independent scene is still feeling like ripples of that to this day, of people doing that?
It's the backlash of it.
Yeah.
And because back then you had guys who had to work very hard to get a spot because the competition was so well-rounded, so well-versed, that if I wanted to be main event, I had to step up my game. Today, shoot, I could just call the promoter and P-Boyz and put me main event.
Ooh. I mean, yeah, with me being so green again, I do hear stories about that a lot. So, yeah, was there that wasn't as prevalent as it was back then, right? Like it wasn't.
What do you mean?
Of people being like, hey, I'm your boy, put me up there. It had to be like, nah, you got to prove
you
it.
couldn't.
You had to earn your
Didn't.
spot.
You had to earn your spot back then.
Ooh.
Because of the regulations and the way the rules and the laws were in Texas and how it had to be. So promoters would lose money if they did something like that. They would lose money in the sense people wouldn't come. They wouldn't see crappy wrestling. And then it was obvious because when you were in the ring with someone who was more well-versed than you and you could hurt somebody or hurt yourself or make the show look like crap. So, yeah, that was something where that was not looked upon. It was looked upon very bad. And today, they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, being in class with you all the time, we definitely get preached that. Don't spread crappy wrestling.
Yeah.
I can say, not to kiss your ass here or anything.
Okay.
I feel like the most, the quality of wrestlers that I have seen come out of here, like it's been pretty good. I feel like most of the guys that come out of AAPW are like doing something with wrestling right now, at least, right?
I'm always criticized for how I teach and what I teach and how I teach it because it was funny because when George was teaching me and George had the school before then, for those of you who don't know, George de la Isla is the founder of AAPW. And when he had the school, everyone looked at George and thought, he's old style, he's old ways, his ways don't exist or the ways are wrong. Why are we doing the same thing over and over again or whatnot? And then when I saw that go on back then, as I look at it today, people look at my ways and they think, oh, that's very antiquated because here he is doing something they don't do those things out there anymore. You don't see that stuff. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring this stuff back into you guys so that way you guys are well-versed out there.
Yeah.
That way when the fans see you do different things, they're going to say, oh, I've seen 10 Canadian Destroyers tonight. I want to see something different, or I want to see something that I haven't seen in a while, or something from old school times, or I want to see that. Because my thing is, if I teach you those things, you remember those things, you become well-rounded, and you're able to work anywhere. It doesn't make a difference if you're able to work here or Mexico or Japan. You can go anywhere you can with all these moves I'm showing you.
I believe that too. Ever since I've started here, I've started watching wrestling a little bit differently. I definitely feel jaded sometimes when I do see, and we always laugh about this in practice when you talk to me, but the whole flippity S word, I can't curse. You can curse, but I can't. The whole flippity stuff, it definitely gets jaded sometimes when you just see guys, it's like backflip, front flip, handspring, boom, slap my
Because
thigh.
that stuff today doesn't mean anything. How many times have you seen those matches where everything you see is that?
Yeah. It's prevalent too. It does get jaded, so it's a good breath of fresh air.
If
when
you
see
put that
people
in
go to
every
basics.
match, what is there left for me to see as a fan?
Nothing really. I guess that's when the
I've seen
jaded
it all
comes in.
already. What's the point? Why would I have to buy a ticket? I can just watch that on YouTube.
Yeah, true that. But yeah, I mean, it's a very good breath of fresh air seeing what you teach though, because then it's like, okay, this guy can do more than just one thing. Well, I guess we can drop names like people like Ricky Starks who have come from the school.
Ricky Starks was trained by George at the time that I was not here.
Yeah.
but Ricky Starks was taught the same thing that I
That-
teach.
yeah,
That I
exactly.
teach you
Yeah.
guys, because that's what he was taught. He was taught the same thing.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
like-
the same foundation he got, same foundation you guys are getting, because that's the same thing I teach. I teach the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, because you see what he does, and he doesn't do anything too flashy, but he's solid in the ring, and AEW saw that, and they're like,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
like you got a good foundation and good fundamentals, so let's pick you up. So that just goes to show that you don't need to do a 630 senton to get seen or to get noticed. Like you can keep it simple as long as you do it good and you do it right. Then I think you're good. But on that topic of what you teach, what would you say you teach? Like what kind of style of pro wrestling? would you
I
say you
teach catch as can professional wrestling.
Catch as can. Yeah, that's the most prevalent style of wrestling.
That is the only style of professional wrestling.
Okay.
And if it's taught correctly, then that's the kind that's used all over the world. It's a foundation of wrestling in Japan or wrestling in Mexico, because it's the basis of this. It might be different in the sense of sides and ways, but
Yeah.
everything is the same thing.
So just to break it down for some people who may not be well versed in wrestling terminology, can you break down what catch as can is?
It's just a form of style of wrestling that we have. That's just. I mean, I really can't break it down for you more, because it's just what.
Like you wouldn't say it's like groundwork and like grappling, and you wouldn't say that.
You're putting me on the spot, because I've been teaching this thing for so long, and it was taught to me that this was what
It's
I
just
was
in-
teaching.
yeah.
And so I didn't question it. I didn't ask. I didn't sit here and say, well, break it down for me. I didn't do that. I just didn't question my elders.
It's just
at that
ingrained.
time.
It's just ingrained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not so much necessarily like a flavor or of wrestling as much as it is just kind of like the general term for what really I guess the American style of wrestling is, like the pure base of wrestling that everything else is just built off of.
Do you know of any wrestlers that you see a lot of catch as can in? Like that have a good base of it?
All of you guys.
Yeah. Aw, heartwarming moment.
You're really busting out the soundboard this time around.
That's what I was gonna get to
on
though.
over there.
Like even the people I train with, like, you know, I'd say that you put out a very good training program compared to what I have seen from other people that I may have worked with
Okay.
in the past. So what I'm trying to say is I appreciate what you put out, because I couldn't imagine walking into a school and they're just going, "Hey, go run the ropes," my first day. I'd be like, obviously, you know, the giddiness in me, like, yeah, I'm gonna go do it, because you know, that's what I think everyone wants to do when they come into a wrestling school. They're like, let me get in there, run the ropes,
And then you get in the ropes and you fall down and
And you
trip
fall
over
through,
yourself.
yeah.
And you fall over. You fall
and
out.
I've seen it here. I've seen it here because people are too giddy and they rush through the basics.
Yep.
As good old Keanu raises his hand in the corner.
Yep.
Yeah, so I like that you teach fundamentals and techniques, because just to kind of say what we do here, you guys break it down on a very like minute level where it's like footwork, foot placement, ring placement, timing, like all that. Where I hear stories about other people from other schools where they're like, no, we just do that, and it's like,
Right.
wow, they don't really pay attention to the small details.
No, because the small details is what makes it's what's gonna make you a better wrestler. I can give you a diamond in a chunk of coal and put on a ring and say, here's a diamond ring.
Yeah.
But if I break the coal off and I polish the diamond and give it to you, then you'll like that diamond ring a lot better than the other diamond ring, won't you?
Have you used that analogy before
No,
with other
never
people?
had. I just popped
No?
in my head.
Okay, I was gonna say, because I've had some people at the school, some old graduates, where I when I was doing production only, I'd be talking about wanting to train. They're like, "We're gonna make a diamond out of you." Right now, you're just a piece of coal. And
Well,
I'm like,
yeah, it's true. It's true, because it's the
Sounds
best.
good.
It's the best analogy to use, because all you guys coming to me, especially when you have no experience in this business, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You coming in here, you're all just a bunch of chunk of coals, all of you, and I have to train you from the beginning to get you going up there. And as difficult as it may be, and hard that you're not used to placing your foot this way and putting your
Yeah.
arm this way or moving your body this way, it's a way of it's going to take time, it's going to take patience, and you're going to get it. And when you do, you're going to be like, oh, the little light in your head's going to turn on. It's like, oh, now I know what he means.
yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. It takes some time. Jacob, you can probably reflect on that. Good old Felix,
Yeah.
about what it's like coming in, and then because you've been here what 3-4 months?
4 months now.
4 months.
4 full months. Yeah.
Yeah, like I bet you feel a stark difference in where you were when you first started to now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's definitely like you know, there a lot of the really, really simple stuff is like slowly kind of becoming like, you know, muscle memory in a way.
Yeah.
It just because like when you do go in, you first, you know, you do a roll or you take a bump or you run a rope, it's super awkward. And, you know, I'm still do things a little awkwardly from time to time.
Do you feel like you ever hit a point after? Well, yeah. Actually, I want to talk about your training. How your training started. What was that like for you back then?
Let me think. Summer of 1995. Where were you?
Not even thought of yet.
Twinkle in the eye.
Anybody?
Give me another 12 months and I'll
Okay. So all three of you were in your dad's bag. Okay. Let's see. Summer of 95. I saw George on a TV show. And at that time in my life, I was going through a lot of shit. Oh, sorry, I cussed.
You can cuss. We can't.
Okay.
There's a guy for that.
And I called up George and I asked him, I wanted to be a pro wrestler. And he said, come see me at the Givens Recreation Center on East 12th Street in downtown Austin. You know what that is?
I have no idea where that is.
Okay, what's still there? I walked in and there were 7 guys there with us to that day. Mm-hmm. And I remember when George got a hold of all 7 of us, it was a ring and the padding had the 4 poles on the floor. And the ropes drooped down, so it wasn't really a real ring per se, because it was used as boxing too.
Okay.
But the padding on the bottom was a 2.5-inch padding, or square padding is what we had in there.
Yeah.
And I want to say the ring was probably a 10 by 10 by 10.
Oh, so this is a baby ring.
Yes.
Good God.
On the floor. On the floor.
Dude.
Gotcha. So there was no.
No,
to
nothing.
it.
Nothing.
Gotcha.
No risers to it.
So George got us in there, started training us. The first day he beat my ass. And I went home that night thinking, what the hell did I get myself into? Mm-hmm. The next day I could barely move. Every part of my body hurt.
Were you an athlete before that?
I had been an athlete in high school.
Yeah.
But we're talking 7 years because I was already out of high school already. I was 25 when that happened. The next day, it was on Monday. On Wednesday, I came back, and there was only 4 of us left.
Oh, shoot.
Other 3 had quit. Mm-hmm. So George did it again. And as much as I wanted to cry and wanted to, I went to GNC and bought amino acids because I wanted to go against the soreness that I was going through. And I had class again. I didn't want to go, but I couldn't quit.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to quit. I can't quit. I'm not going to. And so I got there, and again, another ass whooping again. So then came Friday. Only 2 of us walked in. And it was me and this other guy. And we went to the same routine again. And come at that time, that weekend, I had to ponder. I had to sit there and think. I was like, man, these guys are quitting. I'm the only one that came back all week. I'm dying. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. What the hell am I? Why? What am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Come Monday, I was the only one that walked in the door. And George started training me in wrestling after that.
Wow. So what, was he just like thinning the herd to see who would really stay?
I
Before
believe that's what he was doing because a lot of the exercises, it was mostly all exercises and very few wrestling stuff he was showing us. He wasn't showing us any wrestling. He was showing us it was all more stretch stuff moves of how to, and calisthenics with isometric workouts. And yeah, it was very, very rigorous for me back then. And that if I brought that back today, half of you wouldn't be here.
I was just about to say, like, you really hear a lot about that with people being trained from, old school guys. And then even before that, it's very, like you said, thinning the herd. Just if you can take this,
right,
then you can.
But as you see that what we got now, how many times have you seen a beginner class and it thins out by itself?
I can say this from personal experience, and it's crazy because you guys say it to every single beginner class. You guys are always like, look around because some of these people are not gonna be here.
So little by little, I'm throwing in that stuff in there to you guys without even realizing that you're getting it, and I'm throwing it in there to see how far I can push you.
Yeah, I started with I think like 10 people. or 11 people, and now it's just me and a little 13-year-old boy. We're the last ones left of our class. It is insane how true that is. Some people just aren't cut out for it, man.
No, because a lot of people are busy watching it on TV, thinking, "Ooh, look what they're doing," and I want to do that when I grow up. Or I can see myself, and that's a dream I have. I hear the same. I talk to everyone the same way.
Yeah.
I ask everyone's idea. I need to tell me what you want, what you're looking for, and I'm going to tell you how to achieve it. Because then in the interview that I do with you, that tells me a lot. I ask a lot of questions. One question I ask is, what kind of athletic background do you have?
Yeah.
Remember I've asked you that question?
Yeah, I do remember these questions.
So when I have someone ask, and the reason I ask that question, if someone tells me, I play football, I played wrestling, I did this, I did that. When I hear those sports, that then tells me then you have some type of a coordination, you have some type of work ethic and ability to move with a group or work as a team, because we do.
Yeah.
And that tells me that you are also aware of what's going to take to get to where you need to get. So you are aware of the hard work. But every now and then I have people who tell me, that tells me, no, I was a band player. I was a theater major.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not knocking those. Sometimes those are hit or miss, because sometimes those guys will catch it, and other times it takes a long time for them to catch it.
Yeah.
Because one, they're not coordinated. I have to get you coordinated. And that's harder for me. It takes longer for me to train you, because here I have to show you how to make those steps accordingly to you, who would be natural, because you already know how to run those steps.
Because that stuff like that, it takes years, I feel. I've been playing football and basketball and all that since I was like up 10, 8 years old. And then, that would be insane to try to teach someone to be coordinated in a year.
But I've taught that.
You've done it. Yeah. Just to shout out someone, Ollie Summers. Okay. That dude is a theater major to the core. That dude is a theater kid.
I'll throw out one right now who I haven't seen in a while. He's been gone. But Rob the Builder was very talented when he was here. He was somebody who was a band person, and he had 2 left feet.
Yeah.
And he was very, very, very good at the level if he would have kept going, but was in the cards for him, I guess.
Yeah. But keep going about what you do here, because the whole athlete thing and your training as well.
That's what I do. So I do the athlete. I check that out, and then of course I give you the message of your body and your mind will start telling you the difference between after your workouts and your soreness and your this and your bumping and you're hitting the back of your head and you're like, what the hell am I doing here? I could rather be home watching wrestling on TV and eating a sandwich on my bed or whatnot. So I much rather get that information from you to push you to see, okay, are you going to be cut out to do this? Cut out to do this. Usually by the first month or 2, I know who's going to fall off.
Yeah. It's easy to tell sometimes, as sad as that is. But, some people have the, I guess, for lack of better words, shout out to Edge, grit to do it, or the determination. You can tell in some people. You can see the kind of hurt in their eyes sometimes when they're going through things. There were some people in my class that kept hitting their heads, and I was like, God, man, they are not going to last long. They ended up not lasting that much longer after that. But keep going on your training. About you getting beat up. And
okay, so at that time, I got into training. I was training from June, and I debuted my first wrestling match in September of '95.
Dang. Okay, fast learner. Mm-hmm. Couldn't be me. Took me 5 months, 4 months.
So when I took my first bump in a real professional wrestling ring, to me that felt like a fucking waterbed.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh, that's right, because you said you were on the floor for a while. Yeah.
I was on the mat.
God.
And I was taking backdrops on the mat. So my first match was under a mask. I jobbed for somebody because one of the guys didn't show up. And in the main event, they put me. They did not. I jobbed out. I came back in the semi-main or middle of the card part. Growing up, there was a manager that I very much loved to watch, and I wanted to put myself after him.
Yeah.
If I give you a name, you might not know who it is, but I'm gonna tell you. Ready?
Okay.
Playboy Gary Hart.
Playboy Gary Hart.
Okay, look him up.
Okay.
Playboy Gary Hart was the man that I was raised watching in the 70s, early 80s as a kid. And I wanted to be like Playboy Gary Hart. So my first match, I remember, was interfering in a match with my cane because my gimmick was a mafia hitman type gimmick.
Yeah.
I came in the ring and threw Bobo Bronson, which his name was. Rest his soul, he's passed away now. He died of diabetes. I remember throwing him the ropes. He came flying off the rope, and I caught him in the forehead with the edge of the cane and busted him open.
The hard way?
You could say probably. So let's just say the amount of blood that was spilled that night was not pretty.
God.
Okay.
Sounds like a Papa Don story.
And so that was my first introduction into my character here in Austin. Did more shows after that. Was still training with George at the Givens Rec Center because I didn't have a ring to work out in. Mm-hmm. So every chance I got, there was a show.
You were there.
I jumped at it because I wanted to get in the ring because that ring fucking felt like a waterbed to me. You know, it was soft.
Yeah.
I could bump all night without a problem. And I did that, worked on plenty of shows, worked a lot of guys. So watching that night, I remember watching a guy by the name of Tarzan Taylor, who was the biggest star of the Austin area at the time. And Tarzan would come out, big old muscle guy. He'd come out with his spandex, of his zebra spandex, and muscle guy with the sunglasses, and fans loved him. Okay? Fans loved him, but his matches were always the same.
Yeah?
His matches were 5 minutes, work the arm,
Yeah.
and then everybody comes in and breaks the whole fight up. You know why that happened?
Because it worked?
Because he was blown up at 5
Oh.
minutes. I'm telling you the truth. So I looked at myself and said, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
This is the main event. Every time this is the main event, I can do better than this.
Yeah.
And sure enough. So the time went on. The feud with me and Bobo got bigger. And, of course, that in a matter of 2 months, me and Bobo were main event that night.
Nice.
He and I were main event. I busted him open again. And...
Did you made him work for it?
Yeah, he was. Let me give you the story about Bobo Bronson, right? Here we go. He and I had a love-hate relationship in the ring.
Okay.
He was a big guy, and I wasn't as big back then because I was just coming in. But I wasn't scared of him either.
Yeah.
Okay, and I made it very clear to him, you don't scare me. Okay? I'll work you professional. I'm professional with you.
Yeah.
So we did our match, we did our thing, we did everything in that night. And it was a hard one because I remember one time I did a second rope, did a splash on the second rope onto him. He put his legs up, like his knees, to block the thing, like to catch me in my gut.
Yeah.
And right when I came down, he didn't tell me he was going to do that. So when I came on his knee, I hyperextended both his knees.
Oh.
So his knees were hurting for a while.
Yeah.
So he was kind of out of the thing for a while, and I think it kind of took him out of the business for a little bit until probably back in late 2000 that I saw him again.
Yeah.
And we worked the show in Rockdale, Texas. And George had invited Bobo to come back.
Uh-oh.
And I knew he was
Yeah.
coming back I knew he was coming back.
Okay.
And I said, okay, bring it. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that night, we had our match, we had our show, everything. And the main event that evening in Rockdale, we had a packed house. We had around 1,000 people in that place. It was packed.
Sheesh.
It was at the Knights of Columbus Hall right there in Rockdale, Texas. Right as soon as you pass Rockdale, outside of town on the left, the Knights of Columbus is right next to this Saragossa Pavilion, which is still there to this day. Mm-hmm. And the main event that night was a extreme hardcore battle royal.
Nice.
Okay.
That's a lot of big words, man.
Yes.
Oh, God.
So Mr. Bronson took it upon himself to get a beer can or a can,
Okay.
rip it open, and use that as his weapon.
What the?
So Mr. Bronson took it upon himself to do that, And so people were bleeding in the ring the hard way.
Oh, dude.
Taking notes.
No, you should not.
I didn't know he was doing that.
Yeah.
He got a hold of me, but I was already bleeding from the match previously because I was in the match earlier and I was already busted open already.
Yeah.
And I had a thing around my head. So he opened me up again with the can because he was opening other guys up with the can.
God.
So one of the guys who I think y'all saw a guy a while back come in named Freight Train.
Yeah. I remember
Okay.
Freight Train.
Mm-hmm.
Freight Train was my student at that time.
Uh-huh.
And Freight Train saw what was going on. Freight Train got Bobo because Freight Train was bigger.
Yeah, Freight Train is a big man.
Okay. Freight Train grabbed him and threw Bobo out of the top rope the hard way.
Oh, shit.
Oh wow.
Wait, how big was Bobo again?
Bobo was probably around 6'1", 6'2", around 300 pounds.
God, that's not no small guy.
Okay.
Hey, but Freight Train is big.
Freight
people.
Train was 6'7", around
Yeah,
almost
he's big.
3, almost 4. He was bigger.
Yeah, he was big. He came in like a month ago. It's a funny story because he came in and, you've taught us to always shake hands with people when they come into school. So when I was like, hey, Isaiah. And he was like, Freight Train. And I was like, shit, all right, my bad, bro. Damn, let me step back.
He's an old schooler. So,
Yeah.
he threw him out of the ring. I quickly got out of the ring. I didn't finish the match that night because I was f***ing pissed.
Yeah.
And
Rightfully
after
so.
I saw what he was doing to other people. And I went back in the back with him and I said, hey, dude, if you had a problem with me personally, you come talk to me personally. Or if you want to match with me personally, I'll give you the match myself.
Yeah.
Or you want to bring weapons and do cans and bullshit like that, let me know because I can bring my own shit with me and we can have it out. And so that was the last time I saw Bobo Bronson. He got his bag left, got mad, got furious, pissed off. And I think he was pissed off at me because of the hyperextension knees because I think I set him out of the – I probably ruined his career after that move that I gave him. And he never wrestled after that. Never came back to the ring ever since after that time.
Did anyone else get onto him about that?
A lot of people. George got onto him. A lot of the old timers got onto him for doing that. But he was somebody who was disgruntled. He was angry. He was mad because the wrestling business had moved on without him, and he was not able to go because of his injury. But that wasn't my fault. He didn't call that. He didn't tell me he was going to do that because if he told me he was doing that, I would not have put full pressure on my splash. I was going to splash him, and for him to put both his knees up. My whole body weight came on his knees and jammed both of his knees.
Yeah, I feel like for something like that, because that is a very serious thing to put your knees up when someone's splashing you, especially because, I feel like that's something you would want to discuss, right?
Well, no, because he didn't call. He didn't tell me.
He didn't call
if
it.
he would have done that, I would have landed feet first, done the impact correctly, and then fall and done the move. 'Cause I know how to do that move. But he didn't call it. So I came down, he put his knees up, and I jammed both of his knees. So he was mad because his career was ended. It wasn't until probably 2008 that I talked to him again, made peace with him, and then he passed away.
Oh, well, R.I.P. I'm happy you got that off your chest though. With him, at least you guys hashed it out because that would be a very.
I wasn't mad at the
Somber
guy.
ending.
I wasn't angry with him. I mean, he was mad probably at me for all those years because I was the one that probably ruined his career, but it wasn't my fault, And I for what he did, the move that he did with the can in Rockdale that night was just unprofessional, and I think it was of him to do that because at that time in the wrestling business, as you all know, I tell you guys all, there's tetanus, there's staph infection, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and for you to just get a can of the trash can and just rip it open like your fingers
grimy.
and use it on people's foreheads, that's pretty.
Jeez, Lord, have mercy on my soul. Well, that's a Papa Don story if I've ever heard
So
one.
it's the Wild West back then.
But
Yeah.
Okay, so we are starting to run out of time, unfortunately. We could do Pops if you are willing to come on again.
Do you want to go longer? We can.
Are you sure we can?
You want to go longer? We got nothing going on.
We're missing out on practice?
Mr. Director.
I mean, yeah, it's true. It is your building in your school. We can go as long as you want.
We go the full hour if you want.
Oh snap! For real?
Go on.
A Papa Don special, 1 hour. A 1 hour special Papa Don.
Limited time only.
This is season finale, baby.
It feels like a season finale. This is big. It's been a long time, Pops.
Are we like 3 episodes into this season?
I don't know. I'm at Netflix. I don't keep track of this stuff.
I don't either. I just work here.
Come on, Hulu's.
God, I can only imagine. Can we get paid like Hulu?
Wow.
It was worth the shot,
Yeah,
boys.
I got your pay. Ready?
Yeah.
Close your eyes. What do you see?
Nothingness.
There you go.
Yep, there we go.
But I will
boys.
tell you this: your pace ends with a 0.
There
Oh,
you go.
dude, yes. We're almost there, boys. We almost got it.
Yeah,
we got the
almost
bag.
there.
The bag
Almost
is on the
there.
way.
Yeah, add some combos, baby.
All right.
Okay,
What else
yeah,
you wanna
bring
know?
it back. Bring it back. The evolution of AAPW. How has that been since you? Whenever you trained with George, was it AAPW
No,
or
it
was
was
something
not.
entirely different? What was it back then?
It was United Superstars of Pro Wrestling.
God, that is
USPW.
USPW.
It went from USPW. It went to United Superstars of Power Wrestling. To United Superstars of Pro Wrestling. When I came on with George, I trained from 95 and then in 2000. From 95 to 2000, I was on my own. I was traveling all over Texas and doing things at that time. Let me think here. I came on with George and it became Capital of Texas Power Wrestling, CTPW.
CPTW.
CTPW.
There's a lot of good acronyms going on.
Okay.
Here.
And because George always believed in 4
Yeah.
4
Oh,
letters. He said it'd be different. Everyone's 3. He wanted to be 4.
That's kind of true to this day too.
Yeah, it is. That's why I
still
kept.
4.
We're still 4, and I'm going to keep.
I like
4.
that.
And if I ever change something, I
never
would
noticed that.
make it 4. I'd always make it 4.
I never noticed that.
So we went to that. We went to Central Texas Championship Wrestling. After that, we went to QFC, which was, people joked with us and said it was KFC,
Okay.
but it was Quest for Champions.
Quest for Champions.
That was 3 letters,
Yeah.
which that didn't really go very long. And then from Quest Champions, we went to AAPW.
Nice.
And it's
Where
been
we are today, baby.
AAPW's today. Over
Yes,
today.
sir.
I want to say that was probably 2008, 9 probably.
Really? Okay.
But here's the thing, guys. You got to understand, George did not have social media. He didn't have that stuff back then.
Yeah.
So his way of advertising was word of mouth.
Word of mouth. You try billboards or anything? No. Oh shoot! And we've had some pretty good names come out of the school too. So that's pretty crazy that it got around like that.
Yep.
Were there a lot of schools back then in Austin? Wrestling schools?
Well, let me give you this. You want a story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, here we go. Back in 2000, there was a gentleman who was training with us. His name was Jail.
Jail.
And if Jail's out there to this day listening, shout out to Jail. 'cause
Okay.
He knows he knows me, right? I know exactly. So, Jail couldn't cut it in our little Givens ring. So he quit. So he went out and he went out and he decided to open his own wrestling school and promotion.
Okay.
And he wanted all the guys to come with him. He had a meeting at his house, and he lived in a nice area
Yeah.
up in North Austin. And he wanted all of us to go together. This is around the year 2000 when this happened. And he said, we're going to start a wrestling show. We're going to do shows at the Palmer Event Center downtown Austin. And we're opening a school. The school's going to be over there off Palmer and Mopac.
I know where that is.
An old building to this day where he had the school. And so he opened the building. Well, first, he asked all of us to go.
Okay.
George did not accept the invitation. Okay?
It makes sense because he had his own school at the time.
Well, George was old school.
Yeah.
Then he asked me. He goes, Pops, would you come to the meeting? And I declined the invitation. I saw how much money was being thrown in there. There's a lot of money thrown. We're talking a lot of money thrown in there.
Yeah.
We're talking this guy got a second mortgage on his house. So he was coming in with 80 to 100 grand.
Yikes.
We're talking, this was back in 2000.
Yeah,
a lot of
that's
money
a
back
lot.
then.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a lot of money today.
Yeah.
And so he came in, and I did not go to the meeting. George called me and says, Ray, let's start our own wrestling promotion. Let's go against him.
Oh, snap.
I said, George, we have no money. And George is the type of guy, or George was the type of guy, and he's always taught me this, and I've always learned from this because this is what keeps me going. Experience always prevails.
Rings true.
It is true.
Makes sense.
Very true. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. Why not? Let's go for it. Let's build something new.
Yeah.
Let's be a thorn in someone's side. I'm all down for that. That's So, Mr. JL went and hired the services of Ivan Putski, which is an old-time name.
Yeah.
Look up the name.
I think I've heard that name.
And his son. So, we ended up doing the shows. We did not do shows. We opened a school off of Burnett and Rutland.
Okay.
There's a Jack in the Box right back there.
Yeah, I know. I think I know. I think I know. Exactly
There's some
what you're talking
warehouses in the front there. We were in that little warehouse. The place had a ring and a room. That's all we had.
Sheesh.
Okay.
Compared to what we got now.
Compared to what jail had opened up, because he was in a warehouse.
Yeah.
Similar to what we got now.
Yeah.
So they started training guys. They got a bunch of group of guys. And they were training guys. We started meeting people at my apartment complex in the clubhouse because we're trying to get names of people to come sign up.
Yeah.
So we got the little pamphlets and we've been handing them out and people have been calling and we're getting people just from all the footwork that George and I had done.
Yeah.
At that time, jail was doing commercials. Jail was doing advertisements. Jail was doing radio spots.
Yeah.
We were not.
So, like, in theory, he should have been, like, smearing you guys.
Pretty much. So, but we were quiet.
Yeah.
We were under the radar. We didn't make a big shout out to nothing. So we're doing our thing. And the first show, jail has a show that night after the school's training. We're building up. Jail does a show, and guess who the main event is? Him.
Oh, no.
Okay. And so that first show, he blows $80,000.
Oh my god!
On the first show? With what? What did he...
Guys, advertising is part of the budget of a show.
God, but that's a lot of money.
It is. We didn't do a show. We still got guys. I got probably 20 guys at the Burnett Road location.
Uh-huh.
He's got his guys over there, what he's doing. So he's doing his thing with Ivan Putski, and that first show, I think they said he lost $80,000. Second show, he lost over $100,000. From that time that all this stuff is going on with SWF, Southwest Wrestling Federation, that's a competition we had.
Yeah.
George and I did our first show in Rockdale, Texas,
Okay.
Taylor, Texas, Giddings, Texas.
Okay. So I see where this is going.
Do you see what we're doing with this?
Yeah.
Okay. We're in Brenham. We're in Giddings. We're in Rockdale. We're in Thorndale. We're in Taylor. We're in Granger. We're up in that area up there because at the time that's what we could afford.
Yeah.
And we're also getting more students at that time doing shows in those areas.
Going around, yeah.
Exactly. While he's doing his shows in the Palmer Auditorium, bringing all these people, he's only bringing in 400 to 500 people max per show. But yet he's charging $25 a ticket, but he's bringing big names in. That's where his budget's all
Okay,
going.
I see what he was... Okay.
Okay? So while he's doing that, I'm thinking to myself, why are we doing this? And I'm thinking to myself, why? I mean, this doesn't make sense to me. But I said, I'm going to trust the old man. He told me, he said, Ray, just trust me. Experience always prevails. Okay, George, I'll listen to you. And so the show, our shows happen, everything else. After his shows belly up, we come into Austin now. And we do our first show at the Austin Recreation Center right there on Lamar and 38th Street or 38th Street in Lamar. You know where the hill is on that rec center right there
I
where
know what you're talking
the
about.
football field is,
Yeah.
right there, you know?
Yeah.
We had a show there.
Ooh.
That was our first show.
Sheesh.
And guess who the stars were? We were.
Yeah.
We brought no names.
That's dope.
Okay? We had a packed house. We made a little bit of money. Not much, we had a little bit of money.
Yeah.
The feud kept going back and forth because he said, she said, crap was going back and forth. Of course,
Yeah,
and of course they called me and said, "Did you really say that?" Yeah, I did.
Yep.
So, And of course, Yale hated my guts, and I couldn't stand his guts either. So we went back and forth to the part where I even got into it with the Putskis, and they hated me. And because Fox 7 News did a story on their school, so I called Fox 7 News and said, "Hey guys, next time you do a story on a wrestling school, do some research because we have a wrestling school here in Austin too.
Yeah.
So next time you're going to call someone the only wrestling school in Austin, do your homework.
Oh snap!
That's kind of crappy on your part to do a job thinking that you're gonna. Well, no one told. Well, you should do. You're the sportscaster. You should do the job.
Yeah.
Do your homework. It's like you do the investigation. So then the Puskies get mad. The Channel 7 gets mad. I caused a big old uproar. But that's the story of my life.
Yeah. That sounds like Papa Don, baby.
Okay, so everything said and done. Years go by. 3 years go by. Joe loses his house, loses his wife, loses his cars. The Puskies take off. And we're back in Burnett Road. And I'll never forget this. I'm sitting at George's desk. George is teaching class. I was doing something or calling some people. And he walks in the front door and says, "Hey, can I talk to you?" I was, "Hey, Jay, what's going on?" "Yeah, sure. Have a seat." He goes, "I quit. You win."
What an end of the war. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and I knew we would.
Oh, yeah.
No, I told him. I said, your mistake was this. Your mistake was that you put that much money into this from the get-go. Mm-hmm. And while you were in here trying to show off in Austin what you had, we were out building our product and getting it ready for us to come in to face you head on because your students were not, because you're busy teaching your guys from a videotape.
Yeah.
And we were teaching from George's knowledge and my knowledge.
Yeah, like hands-on.
Exactly.
You guys were doing the damn thing.
Compared to what he was teaching.
Good.
And those guys, Puskies, were always there getting their money, waiting for their paychecks, waiting for their money, and he had to pay them.
Sheesh.
So this is where that happened. So yes, there was other schools at that time, and that was the last time Austin had 2 schools.
Wow. That sounds like a movie.
I mean, there's more to it.
There's
more to it than that.
Yeah.
I'm cutting it down to you, but that was the main source of Southwest Wrestling Federation, and against AAPW, and we won. And when he walked in, I mean, I wanted to laugh and cry and laugh and smile but I didn't because I felt bad for the guy because he lost everything.
Lost a lot.
Yeah.
He lost everything, but bad business choices.
Yeah. Are you guys cool now?
You should have. Yeah, I've seen Jail. I bumped into him a few times, like at Subway back in the day. I haven't talked to him in a while. I think I have him on Facebook to this day. And he's not doing anything with wrestling. He did come to a show when I first bought AAPW. He did come to one of our shows. Okay. And he shook hands and he goes, "Hey, let me know if you need nothing." I was like, "No, thank you." That was the last time I've seen him. But that was the last time Austin had 2 schools.
Dude. Yeah, the only other school that I could think that is close to here is a school in San Antonio.
Right.
Which is funny because, and that's cool because you actually were like polling us a few weeks ago about like how we found out about the school. Mm-hmm. And everyone finds it out on Google. It's like one of the first things you search when you search.
That's because I've because of the search thing that we have, I've cornered the market for Austin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that because the school is very good and it's helping me live out my dreams.
Yay.
Yep. Hey. But okay, how much time have we got left on the camera? 10?
10.
Sheesh. Should we start taking it home now, Mr. Production Man?
It seems seems 3 count time.
3 count time, Pops. Oh, you're in for it, Pops.
Okay, what do you want to know?
The 3 count. So basically, the 3 count. The original idea was we were supposed to ask you our 3 questions, and you were supposed to answer rapid fire. Okay. But it quickly spiraled out of control. And now we just ask 1 question each, and you can answer for as long as you want to, or as short as you want to. We don't care. We just work here.
Okay, cool. Fire away.
All right. So my question, I usually, you know what? Yeah, I'm interested in this. Who has your favorite ring gear of all time? You can't say yourself, Pops. Or Danny or Ryan.
Wasn't going to.
A favorite ring gear of all time. It'd have to be the Lucha guys. Anytime I see some guys,
any Lucha guy?
Any Lucha guy. Yeah. Anything with color, anything that stands out. That's one of the main things I try to tell you guys, that when you guys are coming to the ring is always have something that's going to stand out.
Yeah.
Have color. Something's grab the attention. Because if you're always doing black, you're not getting no message across. You look the same as everybody else. So always put something. I mean, you can do black, but do black and yellow, black and pink, black and red, black and, always throw something that's going to be standard and make it bright, stand out. You want the attention.
I'll say Ryo and Insane have taken you up on that because they're wearing attire like every show is
especially
so
Insane's new gear that he was talking about
the
on the
Tekken one?
podcast. Yeah, he debuted
he
it.
debuted at the show with the little cattail in the end.
I popped for it.
It was dope. Yeah, that's my little question I ask everyone.
And that's what they've really caught on to what I'm telling them and said,
Yeah.
color. More color you put on there, the more you're going to remember, the more you're going to get recognized.
Yeah, people pop for it all the time too. Even when they come back to the locker room, everyone's like, "Yo,
Yeah.
they're good.
Stands out.
Good on that."
Next.
Felix Master.
Where do you see AAPW in 1 year?
Corona threw a curve on us. You know
Yeah.
that. It threw everything. My plans were all thrown out of whack and thrown to hell and everything else. My ultimate goal, and I'm not going to give you a year, I'm going to give you years down the line. I want to make AAPW a household name. When they think of professional wrestling in Austin, it's us. Not the other guys, not the other competition out there, because we have the school. They do not.
Yeah.
So that's my main goal. That's why I've even cornered the wrestling in internet, the Google searches and stuff, because when they think of pro wrestling, they're going to see AAPW, and that is my main. So hopefully by that time, maybe in a bigger location than we are now, bigger crowds,
Yeah.
bigger TV production studio, bigger all the way around for us to be able to afford to pay and buy, all the stuff that we need, equipment we need to make us the household name that I want to be.
Yeah. I'll say with that Google search, we are on track. And I feel like the quality is getting better here.
Yes.
Especially, production. We can give it up to production. I always try to do this when I can.
Yep, all the time.
You guys have absolutely killed it. In the last, 6? Well, I guess it's almost a year now. Almost a year. In late June, it'll be a year from whenever I got on.
Yeah, June
difference.
6th, I think, was our first show.
And I think they're even happy because I think I could look at Keanu and tell you that since my daughter's taken me off production, I no longer run anything. They do it all without me. They're happy. They're happier now.
Yeah, Keanu's lies are lighting up. Yo.
See, happy face. See?
It's amazing.
I said, only come tell me if something goes wrong. Don't want to know about it. Just fix it. Do it. And Michaela was like, Dad, we're not going to say nothing to you. You just do your thing. Let me handle it, and we'll take care of it. That's a deal.
Smooth sailing ever since.
Production's been killing it, man. Yeah, Jay.
All right, Jay.
I'm actually interested in your question this time.
So it's actually
This
not the
man
same
here.
question.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You
It is?
you mentioned Gary Hart was one of your biggest influences. Who are your top 5 that you would look back on as
wrestlers.
Yeah, as influence for the character that you built.
The wrestler that I built as Papa Don, wrestling skill wise, there was a lot of people that I watched that I had a lot of skill set that I liked a lot. One was a young Jake the Snake.
Okay, yeah.
One was a young Ted DiBiase.
I haven't seen a lot of his super early work.
I loved young Ted DiBiase. I would even say, and I'll even give you a name that I was honored to work for this man before he passed away, was a young Jose Lothario, who trained Shawn Michaels.
Oh,
I even got to work for him on many occasions in San Antonio, the Texas Arena off of Commerce Street. Got to work for him. He was one of my idols. And then another guy that I also got to work with before he passed was also, I did a feud with him for years or months at a time, was Chavo Guerrero Sr. So even having the feud with the Guerreros and having to work with Lothario and having to just watch these other guys that I got, and then got to work with Jake when he was here to visit in the APW we did a show at the Travis County Expo Center, and Jake was on the card that night. And just, so I want to say around those times, but in the younger version, we're talking 80s times, 70s. And of course, even I can go back, even the masked guys, watching Mil Máscaras, watching El Halcón, watching Psicodélico. I even got to work with his son and did a show with him several times in San Antonio and Houston. Psicodélico Jr. Back in the day. Just getting to get all those, and then having to fulfill my dream. That's fulfilled my dream because I got to meet those guys.
Right. Yeah.
And then having to work also a young Skandar Akbar, who also was a trainer here in Texas. Having to work, I got to work a show with him in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I remember he called me to the back, sat me down next to him and said, "Hey kid, where you from?" Because he didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And I told him where I came from, and he goes, "I like the way you move. You're very methodical. You stalk your people how you do it in the ring."
Mm-hmm.
And he says, we don't see that anymore. Yeah, it's from my time. He goes, "Who taught you?" And I told him. He goes, "That figures.
That's dope.
You were taught that way."
Mm-hmm.
And I would say those people with a little bit of everything, because I took a piece of everybody to create me. But character-wise, it was funny because Michaela's mother was the one that gave me the character.
Okay.
I didn't come up with Papa Don. She did. And Papa Don is actually the John Gotti, the head of the mafia.
Mm-hmm.
He's called Papa Don within the mafia. The mafia doesn't call him. They call him Papa Don because he's the Don. And he's the father of the mob at the time. So when he was the leader of the mob, they called him Papa Don.
Okay.
So that's what the character came from. And I was a hitman because I would go out there and attack
That's
people.
dope.
So that was my character, was the hitman. And even when I got to work in Mexico, I was still El Papadon.
That's
And that
dope.
was my name, but I came out with my Italy flag because I was Italian.
Okay.
Even though I was,
Right.
and I played that. That's that character I played. So I still got the booze and everything else because I moved the Italy flag and I'm in Mexico. They hated me for that too. So just building the character up as years went by, and then the little one, I probably veered off into Papa Don being more Latino because I became part of the Latin Alliance, and I worked with those guys for years, and I was that group with El Latino, Tommy Gunn, Tito Sanchez, all these guys back in the day that we were all Latinos, and we worked together at shows, and we would do a feud, and it was just, but Papa Don always evolved as a heel, and it wasn't until probably 4 years out of before I hung up the boots that fans cheered for me. Just fans started cheering for me one day. I was like, okay, so I guess I'm a face now. As much as I want to be a heel, they would still cheer. They would still cheer for me. So I guess I answered your question. Where Papa Don,
sure.
how Papa Don came about, and that's where it came about. So that's how I got it.
That's a dope name.
Yeah.
That is a dope name. And it's still dope to this day, being called Papa Don, I bet.
So everyone calls me Pops for short. That's what
Yeah,
they call me,
Pops. That's where we get Pops from.
Yep.
But all right, we're gonna wrap it up. Felix, you want to give him the good old sign off?
Good old sign off. Oh yeah. I gotta do is the camera. I always forget that we have the camera. I usually just look at you and do
It's
it.
new stuff, dude.
Hello.
Nice.
Hi. Yeah, bring that. Yeah, right here.
Don't you whisper in my ear like that.
Sorry. Yeah, as always,
Gotcha. Wow, wow.
I don't know if you know this, but AAPW stands for America's Academy of Pro Wrestling. I don't know if you've been listening
If you
to
were
the
paying
past
attention or not.
50 minutes. We're a school.
Been talking.
If you Google Austin Wrestling, we're the first thing that comes up, as we said in the podcast. So, visit our website, check it out, see if you want to come down here and give it the old college try. We'd love to have you. We also do shows. As of recording this, I think our most recent shows are the Saturday, May 15th and May the 29th is our next one after that. So make sure you come down, check us out. We unbiased. We make very good wrestling.
We do.
So
indeed.
come take a look. Come check it out. It's super cheap. It's $10 for adults, $5 for kids. Super cheap. On social media, we're at official AAPW on Twitter and Instagram, America's Academy of Pro Wrestling on Facebook. And, of course, we have a store as well. You can hit us up on Teespring, America's Academy of Pro Wrestling. I still don't know if that code, Papa Don for 15% off, is still active or not.
Is it still active,
It
Pops?
is capital letters.
Yeah,
There you go.
we got clarity. It's been weeks.
We're so good. We're so good. Our coupons don't even expire. So use Papa Don all caps at checkout for 15% off. And come to the shows and buy stuff there, too. That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all we got
You
going
get
on
better
right
at
now.
it
That's
every
good,
single
man.
week.
You're good at that.
How'd you like that, Pops?
You I.
There we go. That's,
Yep, and Papa Don
That's
fashion.
at least a 4.
Felix the plug Rogers.
But all right, Pops, thank you. We're definitely going to get you on again in the near future if you don't laugh at me every single time I tell you to come on.
Well, don't make those funny faces, and I will.
That's just my face.
Okay.
Jeez, what a somber ending. But yes, thank you, Pops. Thank
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time with the new guest. Peace.